advisor and career coach and veteran support for TechLadder and Centric.
And hi, I am Edward, and my job is to be your student success advisor for the career track side.
Okay, so purpose of this podcast, we do this every time. It's for us to get a chance to sit down and chat about strategies that will help you get through the program. A new topic each week is what you will get. We'll also be taking topic suggestions from you, so please feel free to send those to us via email or in Canvas. Thanks for joining us today. Let's get started. What are we talking about?
This week's subject will be Imposter Syndrome. Why are we talking about this? To put it simply, Imposter Syndrome is the experience of feeling like a phony. You feel as though at any moment you're going to be exposed or found out to be a fraud, like you don't belong where you are. And you only get there through dumb luck. So we're going to briefly discuss some characteristics of Imposter Syndrome as well as the different types and also some coping mechanisms.
Yeah, so we're going to cover it all in about 15 minutes.
Or less.
Or less. We'll see. Okay. So first up, let's talk about some characteristics. What are some things that you could be feeling with imposter syndrome? So the first one is self-doubt.
You gonna elaborate?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
That's it.
So the next thing that you could possibly experience is the inability to realistically access your competence and skills.
Okay. Another characteristic is attributing your success to external factors. I guess I could elaborate a little bit.
It's okay.
Okay, so let's say that you did something really well, you got recognition for that, and you said, no, that's my team. My team behind me did that, or this person actually did that. That's a characteristic of imposter syndrome.
Along with that would be to berate your performance. So like, you do something wonderful and everybody's like, great job, like Ashley said, and then you're like, yeah, it was okay, or it was decent.
Yeah, definitely have done that before.
I do it frequently.
Okay, fear that you won't live up to expectations. That's a good one.
That's a sneaky one.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty self-explanatory that you are afraid that you aren't going to live up to someone's or something's expectations.
True. Overachieving speaks for itself.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sabotaging your own success. So I don't know a ton about this one, but I know what it means, obviously, that you're like keeping yourself from being successful. But the word sabotage is pretty strong to me.
It's intense. I think oftentimes it extends beyond your professional life, maybe into your personal life, relationships, everything, working out. Like, I missed a day of working out, so I can't do it anymore because I missed a day, so now I'm a failure.
Yeah.
That's me, personal. You're welcome.
Okay.
Another characteristic potentially is setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. And so, like, my mentor, like, is this awesome woman, and she tells me if you want to be successful, you have to meet somebody who's willing to fail. And I'm just like, what? She's like, yeah, nobody wins every game. So, like, she was like, you like Kobe Bryant. He lost more games than he won. I was like, you're a liar. But he did. So,
yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. I like that. Setting very challenging goals and feeling disappointed when you fall short. I like that. Okay, so those are some characteristics. If you have experienced some of those feelings, then keep listening.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about the different types of imposter syndrome.
One of the types is the perfectionist. The perfectionists are never satisfied and always feels that their work could be better. Rather than focusing on their strengths, they tend to fixate on any flaws or mistakes. That often leads to a great deal of self-pressure and high amounts of anxiety. Whew.
Yeah, have you experienced that?
Every day. Being a parent, getting up for work some days, just like, it's the balance. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like you want to be 100% here, 100% here, 100% here, but you only have 100% to give. So sometimes it may be 80% here, it may be 30% there, but you have to figure out the balance.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you put that. The next type is the superhero. So because these people feel inadequate, they push themselves to work as hard as possible. I can understand that. I mean, I think we've all seen like athletes, they push themselves because that's what they like to do, but I think we've all heard stories of I'm pushing myself too far. The U.S. gymnast recently, that's a good example of her feeling like she had to be, she had to push herself to work as hard as possible.
Scary.
Yeah, for sure.
The next type that can be seen is the expert. These individuals are always trying to learn more and are never satisfied with their level of understanding. Even though they are often highly skilled, they underrate their own expertise.
Yeah. So I would be curious to do some more digging on this particular type, because where's the line between at what point does wanting to know as much as you can know become imposter syndrome? Right? Like, is it just your internal conversation that you're having with yourself?
I think there's definitely gray space in that, because I think we should never be complacent, but also like when it overconsumes your life, it's probably dangerous. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the natural genius. These individuals set excessively lofty goals for themselves and then feel crushed when they don't succeed. So on their first try. So this reminds me of my nephew, because everything always came easy to him. Mm-hmm. And now that he is in his first role, his first job, things are not coming as easy to him as they once did. And so he is feeling a level of imposter syndrome, that he's not good enough, that he can't do it.
Which is crazy, because if you get the position, somebody thinks you're good enough to do it. Which is a hard lesson for me to learn and stick with.
Yeah.
The last type we're going to talk about is the soloist. These people tend to prefer to work alone. Self-worth often stems from their productivity, so they often reject offers of assistance. They tend to see asking for help as a sign of weakness or incompetence. I can relate. So being from a music background, it's like, it's my instrument, I perform, I can do my part, but a lot of times it's often an ensemble or a band, so it's not just about me, it's about how strong can we come together to be competent as a unit. So I'm learning that even in school, I was that kid. I was the one, group project, I could do it all by myself and get it done in 2 days, and then you get to college and it's like, you flunked the project because you're not working as a group. So
yeah, I think a lot of our students can relate to that, because they may come here, and for the majority of this program it is very solo, like the effort that you put in, but it's also important to develop that skill of being able to work as a team. I think even in the IT industry, you're still working with a team, even though you may be working on something individual. That is a skill that employers are going to want to know that you have. So if you can identify yourself as the soloist, then you need to work through some ways to cope with that.
Which is a good transition for our next segment, which we will talk about how do you cope with imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So I took some of these from a website called Very Well. We can throw the link up in the comments so you can read the whole article. The first one I really like is take baby steps. Don't focus on doing things perfectly, but rather doing things reasonably well. And then rewarding yourself. So you were talking about going to the gym, right? So, okay, instead of saying you're going to go to the gym 5 days this week, say you're going to go to the gym 1 day this week. And then when you go, maybe choose a reward that aligns with your goal, right? Like, maybe not go to the gym and then eat a whole cake by yourself, but like something that's reasonable, that yes, I took this baby step and now I'm going to reward myself. And sometimes just feeling like you took the baby step could be enough. Or even people that have social anxiety, where they feel like what they have to say is not going to be good enough to contribute to the conversation. Just sharing one small piece of, giving some type of comment about it will be enough. You don't have to join the whole conversation if you're not ready, but just giving one little piece of that would help.
Agreed. Next, question your thoughts. As you start to assess your abilities and take baby steps, question whether your thoughts are rational. Does it make sense that you're a fraud, given everything that you know about the specific subject matter? So like I said before, a lot of times opportunities and potential kind of work hand in hand. Oftentimes we don't know our own potential, but we're sometimes blessed or we're lucky enough to see someone who sees stuff in us beyond ourselves.
Yeah, I was looking at something not too long ago that was talking about wanting people to like you or perceive you a certain way, like you start to believe things that you're just perceiving. And so they said to ask yourself, did anyone really say that? Or did anyone really do that? Like, and so that really makes you stop and question, like, was that in my head or did this really happen? Like, am I having this feeling for no reason, really? So I think it's kind of the same thing. Like, does it make sense that I really didn't do good at this? You know what I mean? Like, just questioning yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The next one is stop comparing, which is so hard. Like, so easier said than done. But stop comparing yourself to others in social situations. Stop comparing yourselves to people that have been in the industry for a lot longer than you or that have been in the roles for a long time. Stop comparing yourselves to people on social media. You know, like, just stop comparing yourself. You have your own story. You are you for a reason. So stop listening to people to compare and really just listen to them to listen. Like, what can you learn from this? And that's a hard thing to do.
It is. Like, so I talk about my kid a lot. He's funny. Like, he runs track. So, like, before a track meet comes, he'll research all his competition. And he'll be like, oh my gosh, they're so fast. Look at how fast they run. And it's like before he even gets to the line of run, he's psyched himself out. And I'm just like, man, I bet you they're not researching you, they're racing against themselves. He's like, but man, do you see them? I'm like, okay. So it's definitely a process, and it's normal to think that way, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess our last coping skill that we'll talk about today is refuse to let it hold you back. No matter how much you feel like you don't belong, don't let that stop you from pursuing your goals. Keep going and refuse to be stopped by anything or anyone.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I made a post on LinkedIn, I think it was like a couple weeks ago, but it talks about that an estimated of 70% of people will experience some level of imposter syndrome at some point in their life. So you are not alone, like, in this at all. You are not alone. We are not alone. We are all in this together. Even the top people of people have felt some sort of imposter syndrome at some point, right? So I really hope that today helped shed some light on imposter syndrome. Definitely go out and do some of your own research. There's a lot out there about it. Talk to people. Edward and I are always here to work through that. I mean, that is literally part of our job. So please, if you are feeling this way, do not hesitate to reach out so that we can have this conversation and open some dialogue about it. Final thoughts?
Don't let it hold you back. That's the one that stuck with me probably the most. Yeah, because we can sometimes have a wrestling match with our mind and lose very often because we're fighting ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that. That's great. Okay, thanks for tuning in. We will be back with a new episode shortly. Have a great rest of your day.
Good. What time is it?
It is.